camouflage postcard. They use some wood grain background or whatever. Can you see the postcard? Where's Waldo? That's not a good presentation. Welcome back to SM Postcards. Today's video, the agenda is right down here. I'm going to go through some cards I sold overnight. I sold 19 cards, a couple multiple orders. We'll go through that and see how well I did to my goal for 2024. Then I got a special topic. There's different ways you can do titles. And if people have watched my channel, I'm not a keyword stuffer type person to put in my titles. A long time ago I decided I'm going to target what's on the card, the main subject of the card, instead of putting all these cryptic things in there. But this is one card that there is collectors for, and we're going to talk about that. Clocks on postcards, time clocks, watches on postcards. So I thought I would do a special topic on a postcard where the key words is key. But how many clock on postcard collectors are there compared to the town or the main subject of the card? We'll have a discussion about that. And then I did a poll. I don't see it as much anymore as I used to. I didn't see, as I went through to get this video together, it took me a little while to find some pictures that had a ruler in them. But do you put a ruler in your photos on eBay? I've seen dimes, I've seen things and stuff, so I got some pictures, and I found some other photos too, not just rulers, that I wanted to show you. So when we get into a poll, we'll talk about that and what I do, and then some pictures I found of that on eBay. And there's one thing that people try to sell and take pictures of, and it's just hilarious sometimes, the end results. I'll show you those photos. And then the viewer comments, we'll get into that. Just got a couple comments coming in, and we'll have a little discussion. I always want to stick around for viewer comments because that's from the viewers, and I give my opinion, more ad-lib, not scripted like a lot of the other stuff here. But let's go ahead and get going on what I sold overnight in postcards. Remember, I do divide it back to Chrome. I do pick up some real photos and higher end stuff, and I do end up getting some duds in the lower end. But overnight, this is a little better than normal lately. It's been up and down. First quarter of the year, first part of the year, always like that. It just goes through. There's really no rush of postcards sometimes, but then you'll get that one big order. But I look for the trend, a side trend, go up a little bit, and then it goes down. But it's basically flat for this year so far. But my goal for 2024 is 16 cards a day, $80 a day, raise my ASP a little bit more, and be very strict on picky about sourcing. So we're going to go through these cards, and then I'll tell you how I did. The first card I sold, and I'm going to put the name of this right at the bottom here because I cannot say this. I don't know who can. That's the name of the lake. I've sold this card before, or different things. It's Cheragoga or something like that lake, and it's a linen card, and that sold for $4.75. But that is a huge name, and every time I list that card, it takes me a little bit to go through and make sure I got the letters right. But $4.75. Next one is a USS Antares AKS 3. This is a semi-gloss front, matte back print the club did. That sold for $4.75, Navy ship. Next one is the post office in Springfield, Ohio. Just a chrome card. That's not a crease up there. That's actually a wire in the photo. I thought it was a crease at first. Chrome card, post office. I don't know if it's still there. I didn't check. $4.75. Next one, this person bought two cards. And he bought one of Navy ship of the Kearsarge. It's an aircraft carrier. A lot of history about that. Publisher card. I like to keep these in order as I do this because I don't want to screw it up. I think that's how I screwed up the last time I was doing a video and I mixed the cards up. Then you got the USS Randolph. This is an older aircraft carrier, it looks like, with the ships on there. It's a print, it's matte front and matte back. Light card paper. I don't know why they did that in such light card paper. But both of those cards, they sold for $9.50. Then I sold a church, Immaculate Conception Church. It's in, I think, Washington, somewhere. vertical card of a church. $4.75. Normandy Plaza Hotel, Miami Beach, Florida. The deckled like sawtooth edges, linen card, posted, 1949. Sold for $4.75. Then we got a sand painter, I think it's called, sand painting. Native American sand painting, chrome card, $4.75. I've sold cards like that before. Next one is the Little Wedding Chapel, Rough and Ready, California. Town of Rough and Ready, California. Little Wedding Chapel. Right in the middle there. Chrome card. $4.75. Sold another Navy ship. USS Enterprise. CV6. Historic ship. This card is the Grand Marias, Minnesota. It's Gunflint Trail. This sold for $15.65. That's $15.65 for a chrome card of Grand Marais, Minnesota. But right there is the Gunflint Trail sign. And it has the little stamp on the back for that. $15.65 for Gunflint Trail in Grand Marais, Minnesota. Not a bad sale on that one. Next one is sold for $5.65. It's a Hawaiian card, Tahiti Dancer, it looks like. It's got a little bit of a scallop sawtooth deckled edge. But this is the Continental card, $5.65. Next one sold for $6.97. Gingerbread Castle, Hamburg, New Jersey. It's not a real photo. It's a chrome card, it's been printed. And it's got the deckled edge as well. Cut on the sides. Gingerbread Castle, $6.97. Then I sold this lady with two cowboys looking at her for $4.75. It's one of those comic cards, linen, posted in 1943. It says, "Satisfied. Why shouldn't I be? The whole darn thing suits me to a T." $4.75. Next person bought 4 of the ship cards. Now this is a Navy cutter. They're really cool cards. I like the Navy cutter ones, and they do okay. It's USCGC, United States Coast Guard cutter. Vigilant, WMEC 617, and he bought 4 of these cards. And I got like maybe 120 left or whatever of these cards, but that's the name right there. And you're going to see with Coast Guards like WWEMC and stuff, but that's a cutter, and that was 4 cards, and that they were worth $19. And he got a 15% discount because he bought 4 more cards, which is fine with me. Last one sold for $5.75. Now this is Mountain Link, Bridgeville, New Jersey, white border card. I just listed this, I think yesterday, and I remember at the bottom somewhere crossed out Bridgeville and put Belvedere. Now I didn't write Belvedere in the title, I wrote what was on the card. I always write what's on the card. I might put in the description if someone says something it's wrong, but I always take what's on the card. And this sold for $5.75. Not a real photo, it's a white border. So I sold 19 cards, a couple multiple orders there, for $109.61, gross number. You can do whatever you want with that number. And then my average sale price yesterday was $5.77. So I want to do 16 cards a day. Today I did that with 19, with 3 extra. Want to do $80, I did $109.61, so $110. Doing fine there. And then my ASP is still moving up toward the $6 mark. It's still higher than it was last year. Didn't sell anything in the Ko-Fi store, but I don't add that into my goal. Ko-Fi is extra. That's just a little place for resellers to get some cheaper stuff. I got sleeves in there, dividers, lots of postcards, stuff like that. If you're a member of Ko-Fi, Ko-Fi is the name of the site. It's like Buy Me a Coffee site. But they have a little shop there I can put stuff in. They don't have all the bells for shipping and stuff, so I have a flat rate in there. If people buy a lot of stuff, I always refund shipping if it's over $2. The excessive shipping, I always try to refund back to the people. So if you buy something there, 10 items and it comes out to be $25 shipping, it'll probably be 8 or 9, and I'll refund the rest. There's just not a lot of rules and stuff and widgets that I can do in Ko-fi. I just gotta kind of guess sometimes and put a flat rate in. But I have all that in there. If you're a member, you get 40% off anything in that store. So if you, I got 10 packs of sleeves, a whole bunch of stuff. So go ahead and check that out. But that's what's sold. Special topic. As I said, there's 2 ways I always figure you can do titles. You can use all 80 characters and just put a bunch of keyword stuff in there. To me, it doesn't matter if it's in the front or the end. A query string is a query string. Sure, people say this and they think they got this billion-dollar company figured out with all the little tricks and stuff like that. I just put it in there. Most of the time, it's what's on the card. Like this right here. At the bottom, it says, "Greetings from Menham, New Jersey." I'm going to put "Greetings from Menham, New Jersey" because that's the topic of the card. I'm not going to put flowers, rocks, river, all this other stuff. One thing I think it does is if you say you have a car and you need to fill in another 20 characters, you put spark plug, tires, doors, windshield. Someone might be looking for windshield and come in and see it as a postcard and go on out. So your impressions, I don't really care about impressions, views, and conversion rate and stuff, but in the long run, you need to think about that a little bit. If someone's coming in and they spark plug, they want to buy some spark plugs. Well, you got spark plugs as a keyword. They come in, see your postcard, they leave. So your conversion rate's going to go down. Now, if it's a postcard of a spark plug, could be a different story. That's the main subject of the card. That's a true conversion, stuff like that. I made a decision that I'm just going to use basically English. I'm going to put "Greetings from Menham, New Jersey," move on. Williamsburg, Pennsylvania, carriage and horse. By the palace. Move on. I'm not going to stuff in there bush, horse, what type of horse, all this other stuff in there. It's just, people are going to be in my store shopping. Postcards sell a lot by photos, by the image more than they do the title. Title will get it in front of them, but as people get in there and find out the state, the city is the biggest one for me. This one is clocks. The only way I found a lot of these postcards you're going to see here is from the keyword in the title. And you're going to notice on a lot of these postcards that the clock wasn't the subject, the main subject. It was just in the card. So then you got to think, I need to put clock on every one of my postcards that has a clock. Well, how many clock postcard collectors out there compared to the main subject of the card? If it's Boston, Massachusetts, and you put clock instead of that in there, I'm going to get more people looking for Boston, Massachusetts than I will clock. You're looking for that one buyer at that one time, that 100-year flood, is how I think about it. Now, you can convince me differently, but that's how I think, and that's my model that I go with. But clocks on postcards was a big one that I found, clock towers and different things, and you're going to see that. I'm going to give you a little bit of history about clocks. And while I do that, I'm going to show you some postcards. See if you can pick the clocks out on there. But if you get a chance, go on eBay and put postcard clock, and then look at the titles. They don't really read sometimes English. They're cryptic. They're just basically made for the machine, not the buyer, is what I feel. But here we go. Clocks have a fascinating history that dates back thousands of years. The earliest clocks were sundials, which used the position of the sun's shadow to tell the time. These ancient timekeeping devices were used by civilizations from Egyptians to the Greeks. However, sundials could only be used during the day and were not very accurate. The development of mechanical clocks marked a significant advancement in timekeeping. In the 14th century, European clockmakers began creating intricate mechanical clocks that used gears and weights to measure time more precisely. These clocks were large and expensive, so they were mainly found in churches and other important buildings. Over time, clock technology improved and smaller, more affordable clocks became available to the general public. This made it easier for people to keep track of time and plan their daily activities. I'm a real big scheduler in my head. Meetings and stuff like that, time to do things. That's just how I think. That's how I've been programmed over the years. If there's a meeting at 5, I'm there early. I hated being late. I didn't despise people that were late. They had other reasons. But I'm not wait and hurry up type person. I'm a hurry up and wait person. So I want to be prepared for stuff. I want to know what time it is. I want to know certain parts of the day. It's just how I work. Some people are always late. It's just the way it is. It's how they think and how they're wired, I guess. In the 20th century, the invention of electronic and digital clocks revolutionized timekeeping once again. These clocks used electrical circuits and later quartz crystals to keep time with incredible accuracy. The introduction of digital displays made it even easier for people to read the time quickly and accurately. Today we have clocks everywhere, from our smartphones and computers to the wall clocks in our homes, all thanks to centuries of innovation in the world of timekeeping. Clocks on postcards freeze moments like the hands of time, whether it's a historic clock tower or a vintage pocket watch. They remind us to cherish each moment and stay connected. Clocks on postcards symbolize the enduring bonds between sender and recipient, echoing the rhythms of life. Now I got one fact here about cuckoo clocks. What's the origin of cuckoo clocks? The cuckoo clock, a beloved timepiece known for its hourly bird call, was actually invented in the early 18th century by a mathematician named Franz Ketterer. It was originally designed as a simple wooden clock with two bellows to mimic the sound of a cuckoo bird. So that's a little foundation about clocks, where they came from, where we were, and where we're at today. Just like the watch I have on my wrist, the one that you have on your phone. I have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old granddaughter and grandson. They come over a lot before school, and I ask her to read my watch, which is an analog clock face, or she'll look at the clock we have on the wall. They kind of know, but they don't. They'd rather use the digital numbers. That's what they're learning. Just like the analog phones, the wired phones in houses. We have one hanging on the wall in our laundry room, and the kids are just enthralled with that they can pick it up, and they said, how did you talk like that? We didn't have cell phones when I grew up and stuff. Those came out later on all that stuff. We weren't connected to the thing. Pong was our Nintendo back then, and that came out later in the 70s or whatever. But they really can't read that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff about clocks. But one thing about postcards, clocks on postcards, do they sell? Little chart here I keep in my head when I look at cards. When I go to shows and stuff, am I really looking for clocks on postcards? Not really, but if I do see one, I know what the sell-through rate is. The low average of sell 0 to 3 in my head, and this is just a target, this is just a guideline. It's not written in stone. It doesn't mean they're not going to sell, but you're going to have a better chance to sell the darker green, very high ones than you will the red ones, just from the data that I get here. Oh, I think I sold a postcard. Yes, I did. I sold another Navy ship. USS Herbert J. Thomas, DD 833, and I always say those numbers because that's important in Navy ships. And that sold for $475. Good way to start the day after yesterday. But there's low 0 to 3%, 4 to 10% is where I work, average and high. And then while I'm looking for the average and high, I usually pick up some duds, the reds. I missed them, or I didn't know, or I thought they looked cool, but they weren't. You always get home and say, wow, this is really going to be good, and it comes out to be a $4 card after spending a couple hours on it. And then very high is, mermaids, McDonald's, Disney, some of those other ones, real photos. You're going to pick up some of those while you're looking for your average one. That's where I work. That's my model, and I look for range. That's why I do ranges. This isn't scientific. It doesn't get down to the last card. I'm not worried about the last card. There's billions of postcards out there. I just want to get to a show, look through as many boxes as I can, make my best educated guess I can on the cards I need. I can go through a box of cards pretty quick, and sometimes I skip. I just go through. If I see a box with a lot of low value, average to low cards, I probably won't buy anything out of that box. But if it's just a handful, maybe I'll just buy the whole box. But I do sell-through rate. I just go on eBay and I type in postcard clock. There was 655 that came up. I got rid of a few things that popped in and stuff. I might have missed a few things, but I use a range, so I'm not really worried. There's 14,000 listed, so people are putting clocks in the title. Times it by 100 to give you a nice percent, and I round up or down to a solid percent. Because humans like a solid number. They don't want to think. So I don't want to think. So times 100, round it up or down, 5%. 5% is right in the middle of average. So it's an average card. It's going to sell average card. And it's going to sell for the average price. And you're going to not pay top dollar for a clock on a postcard. Is what this does for me. But you got to take that 5% and put it up against some other things just to see if you're in the ballpark. Now this is kind of unique because it's a novelty type to a point, but it's a keyword search type thing. So I went out there and I just picked out some things that are just kind of like that. I did postcard pinball machine. There's only 7 of them that have pinball machine in it and 31 listed. That might be a little niche. If you can find some postcards with pinball, they got a 23% sell-through rate. So pinball machine is kind of a outlier. If you get a arcade and have there and you put pinball machine in there, not too bad. That's because it's not a large market of them out there. Then you got, I would just put postcard refrigerator, a clock in the kitchen, a refrigerator. 391 to have refrigerator. Probably advertisement postcards, what they are. 3,100 listed. Times it by 100 gives you a 13%. And that's up in the very high as well. So those top 2 refrigerators, and when you get down into the topic stuff, there's not a lot of them and not a lot sold. So that's why I think the numbers go up a little bit, because you're working with keywords more than you're looking for the main subject. But then I put chair, 6%. There's 11,000 of them out there. And then postcard clock is 5. So this is a hard one to say that 5% is accurate, but I would say it is. I would say it's average. I wouldn't say it's a high, I wouldn't say it's a low, I wouldn't be a very high. It depends what else is in the thing. There's a lot of variables. So I know it's an average card. So I'm not going to pay a lot for it, and I know it's going to sell average if it's just a clock on a postcard. That's what this does for me. So I'm not actively running out to every store just hunting down clocks on postcards. If I see them, I know what they are. And if I'm looking for those types of cards and it's in my budget, I'll pick them up. But then you go out there and you look at price. Totally different than sell-through rate. Promoted listings and all the sales, that doesn't really, it can drive sell-through rate, but I don't put that into the calculation the way I look at it. Price is the other variable you want to look at. What is the high watermark for some of these cards? I always look for extreme pricing first. I threw out the $15,000 ones or just the stuff way out there, and I come down to earth a little bit and I kind of look for a consistent, what is the first consistent high thing? And I picked these 3, and I call them extreme pricing. This is the high watermark before the water goes over the dam. This is the most I've seen out there consistently for clocks on postcards. This one is Kuwait postcard, 1960s, Yachting Club and Secondary Clock Tower. $125. So did the clock tower sell this? Or did the Kuwait name and Yachting Club sell this? That's the thing on this one, but $125. Next one is an arcade card. I really like these cards. This is like a studio, and they stick their heads, it looks like, through these little holes in the thing in there. And it's a real photo postcard, 1920s arcade card, type of card. Photo postcard, Adam and Eve, clock, serpent, vintage reel. The clock is right up in the middle. At the top up there, that little circle there is a clock. So they put clock in there. That card would probably sell itself. $115 they got for that. But those types of studio cards, I do. The half moon, the paper moons, always check those. I pick them up from pennies, and I've sold them for $80 or $50, $60. Except when I did the auction. Didn't get what I wanted for them. But those always do well. But these types of cards do well, but there was a little clock at the top they saw. And it isn't the same subject on the card. So did the clock sell the card, or because it's a real photo and Adam and Eve and a studio card? I think that's what sold this one. Then you got an RPPC Bun, Shanghai, China clock tower, Park Monument. So it's a clock tower. They see it in the left there, top left. $95. So what sold that card? The clock tower, or because it's in Shanghai, China, and it's a real photo? I think it's because it's in China, a real photo postcard. Clock, maybe got it in search, But that's with keywords. That's why I went with what's the subject of the card more than I go after that one person looking for clocks. There's more people looking for China and Shanghai than there are people looking for clocks. So I don't key in on that. I key on China. But those are the three. We look at those. You're talking what, 95 to 90 to $110 high level mark for clocks on postcards. But there's so many variables when you use keywords. It's hard there, but that's what they're selling for. Now we're going to get into the average, down to earth, consistently lower, what sells every day. I found, here's a Halloween card, vintage gotcha Halloween postcard with bagpipe, clock, border, posted. See that name right there, it took me a while to read because I'm trying to figure out if it's a sentence or what it is. Vintage Gottschalk Halloween postcard. Right there is fine. Then you get in jack-o'-lantern, J-O-L is jack-o'-lantern, I think. Maybe a lot of people know that, and a lot of people don't know that. Then you got that with and slash. I wouldn't use any dashes or slashes in titles. Way back in the day when we used to do queries and stuff, we always, those special characters and stuff we never used, because a minus, if I put minus Halloween, no spaces in my query, anything with Halloween is going to be taken away. So if you're looking for Halloween but you don't want Christmas, you would say postcard Halloween space minus Christmas, all one thing, and you get rid of all the Christmas stuff. So putting special characters and stuff in there sometimes. But this JOL with bagpipe, clock, border, posted. So the clock border I think is cool, but Halloween is what I think is going to drive this. $50. What sold it? The clock border or Halloween? I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Next one is Mermaid Building Clock Jewelry Trolley Reed, St. Louis, Missouri postcard. That's another one. It's a keyword stuff thing. $35 or $34.50 with best offers, probably $30. And then the bottom one, Guilford, New York, is the oldest clock in the United States. Circa 1960, scarce postcard. Well, scarce is something new. I haven't seen that in a while. Better than rare. But that doesn't do much in there. But it does say what it is. Guilford, New York, oldest clock in the United States, circa 1906. People can look at the card and they know when it is. The dates and stuff you can put in item specifics. The scarce can go away. You can put postcard in there beginning and it doesn't matter to me. But that one's there, $25, one bid in auction. So someone was looking for that. They might have had a starting price of $24.99. They only got one person, so basically sold as a buy it now. So most of the things here, say $20 to $30 is the average price for that. But can you really narrow down? It's just the clock that sold it. That's why this one was tough, and that's why I wanted to do it, because there is some good prices for these, and the clocks are on there. You want to call it out sometimes, but was that the main thing that sold that postcard? Not like a bridge or a boat, Navy ship, stuff like that. So that's what I struggle with all the time with the keyword stuffing. That's clocks on postcards. You know, when you're putting it in there, I put clock in the title, description, or something, so that you get that 100-year flood person looking for clock on postcards. Wouldn't pay a lot for them. It depends what else is on there. Who knew? Now we're going to get into one of the funner polls I've done in a while. I'm always interested in this because people get so passionate about photos. Oh, this is a little crooked, or it does have a white background, or got this on there. You got to have the background removal tool. I'm going to spend $1,000 on a camera. This right here works just fine. I do have a Canon camera that and two little boards on my thing that you probably seen in the video. That's where I take pictures. I don't have a light thing. I'm not worried about the shadows and all this other stuff because it works pretty good for me. Now postcards, they go through the scanner. People say, well, you need more than 2 pictures, Mark. The problem is a side view of a postcard would look like this, and they always fall over. I can't do a side view. You get did another card sell? Another card sold. New York Stock Exchange. I have a lot of those cards. And I sent an offer on that, so I got $428 for New York Stock Exchange. 2 pictures of a postcard is all I do. People do zoom ins of things and all that. To me, that looks better to a buyer, 1-2, than zooming in on something and stuff. They can see it. They can zoom. eBay has the zoom tool. They can zoom in or make their phone bigger and stuff like that. So I scan them and that's it. I don't go in and zoom in and say all this stuff. They're going to see it, is what I figure. They know what they're looking for. But then people do a lot of things. I'm going to show you some photos here in a second. Some pictures. Well, I was looking for the ones with the rulers, and it took me a little while to find the ones with the ruler on there. There used to be a lot more of that a couple of years ago with dimes and Pepsi cans and stuff like that, and rulers and all this other stuff. You know, making people think. If people got to think, they're going to move on. They're just going to swipe on by. But putting a ruler into a postcard photo on eBay, I asked, do you put a ruler in eBay photos to show the size of the postcard? 5% said yes. I'd like to know why. 92% said no, and 3% had other. My opinion, doesn't look good to me. It's not going to break or make a sale, I don't think. Everybody knows 3.5 by 5.5 standard postcard. 6 by 4 is continental. That's the basic ones. Anything above that, 6.4 is probably jumbo. Anything below that is probably miniature. But majority of postcards out there are 3.5 by 5.5 standard postcards. Get those. You got to learn that. Standard and continental are the main ones you want to learn. Those are the most you're going to sell and see. Putting a ruler in there, as you'll see, doesn't do much because you can mark that in item specifics. Or in your description, just say it's standard. You can put the size and item specifics. If it's a trimmed card, you want to put trimmed in there because a lot of people don't like trimmed cards. A lot of them you'll see 3" by 5.5 because they've trimmed the top. It's just the way they made them. Those I will call out sometimes, and I have a little ruler, a little metal ruler here. When I get those, I can bring it up and make sure it's like 3 cents, like the photos. Some are 3 by 5, 3 by 6. I can pretty well tell most of the time. But I just have a little thing sitting right here. I can grab it. I have a yardstick over here for bigger packages I used to do. I haven't used that in a long time. But I just don't think it's professional in my eyes. It doesn't give a good presentation. Even on clothes and stuff, putting rulers in and making people think and look at stuff. You know, that's why I don't do clothes. What's the pit-to-pit size, even though it's in a picture? People get very upset about all those questions. They do it on purpose because they don't want to think. But I had 3 comments. Ashley said, if the postcard isn't the typical size, I'll include dimensions in the description. Exactly. Put it in the item specifics and put it in the description. If it's way off, if it's 3 5/8 by 5 4/8, no, don't worry about that. If it's way, like she said, if it isn't the typical size, 3.5 by 5.5, a little bit give here and there. It's just the way they cut it. People expect that do postcards. So, like she said, just put it in the description and you can put it in item specifics. Thanks, Ashley. Then Postcard Shack, Postcards. Gary, the dimensions are in the item specifics. Took the words right out of my mouth. Right there. So I have, and Boldly Grow, I didn't put it in here, but he does the same thing I do. I have eBay templates made out. I have one for postcards, and that's 3, and in the item specifics is already filled out, 3.5 by 5 I hit standard. Then I have a continental template, eBay listing template, that has 6 by 4 already in there. So if I'm doing a bunch of continental cards, I'll click continental postcard instead of postcard. And I don't have to worry about it. It's already put in the description too. I don't have to worry about it. I never put that stuff in the title because you want people to get into the listing, and once they're in the listing, that's the only time they see that buy button. If they're looking at the search page and they see Continental, they'll move on. They'll never click on it. You want to get them at least into your listing and then give them a chance to hit the buy button, and that's a conversion. Thanks, Gary. And then trying to learn this. I had to have some humor here. Ruler doesn't fit in my duplex scanner. Yeah, they don't bend real well. I don't think this would work either going through a scanner. I don't think that'd be a good thing trying to learn this. Yeah, why put a ruler in your picture? You're just asking for problems, you ask me. The people that ask those questions and all that stuff, you know, are those the people you really want to sell to? They usually have more baggage. on there. Just like every day I get people in. I have a $4.75 card out there. Will you take $3.15 for this card? And all this, please, thank you, and I really like this. And next thing you know, 2 minutes later, I get another one. Would you take $4.25 for this card? And I mean, you're talking pennies. I don't even deal with those. I delete them. Most of the time, unless it's a higher end card, they just go away. Because they're doing it to everybody. They'll go out there and hit 30 people a night and ask them to get 50 cents off a card. And if they get 10 people, they make $5. I don't go against them for doing that. But I don't have best offer on my stuff, and I'm not going to haggle for a quarter. You can buy my postcard for under $5. So, and those people usually come with a lot of baggage. Where's my postcard? This isn't what it is. There was a ding on the end. I don't have a lot of that. People that do that stuff have a lot of baggage, is what I found over the years. Even with action figures, I'll have a $50 action figure, and someone says, "Will you take $45 for it?" Back then, yeah. Then some people come in and, I have a $10 action figure. Would you take $9.50? I'm not going to deal with that. They're trying to save 50 cents. So watch what you do with that. But here's a couple pictures I found with rulers, and then I'll show you some other ones I found. So the first one here, it has the postcard, looks like a white border card, and down at the bottom there it has the ruler. It starts at 2 inches, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half, and he has it centered on there. Everybody knows it's a standard postcard. And it's down at the bottom. Does that look really good? To me, no. I wouldn't do it on there. Now, back in the day, they would say, well, item not as described, I didn't get the ruler. I got the postcard, but I didn't get the ruler. Then people put in the descriptions, ruler not included. So they're going to do all this work and put that in there, just like the dime wasn't included, so item not described. They were all worried about that. And they say dime not included. It's crazy. Then the next one I found is one of those engineering or cutting things. First, the postcard's crooked. Is it as big as it is? And is that a good view, a good presentation for a photo? And then they didn't crop it and stuff like that. So that's a lot more work than they need to. But while I was looking out there, I found these other pictures on eBay. And you got the normal fingers. Putting fingers and feet and knees and bellies and stuff like that and people in the background is not a good look. This one is, at least I got clean fingernails, souvenir pictures. Hawaii thing there. There's your normal fingers you see and stuff. Then the next one, you got the camouflage postcard. They use some wood grain background or whatever. Can you see the postcard? Where's Waldo? That's not a good presentation. Is that a Continental card or whatever? But putting it on a background like that with that card, I said, well, that's a camouflage card. Then the next one, these crack me up. People throw them on their bed, they throw them on a kitchen cabinet or whatever. This is on some dirty carpet. Look at that. Is that like stains on the carpet and they threw this postcard on the dirty carpet? They haven't vacuumed in a while. Would you buy that card from that guy looking at that? Then the next one, is that a trash can? This postcard's on the corner of a desk. I think that's a trash can. Back in the back there. Why? I mean, there's some basic best practices for photos. For postcards, you don't have to get real detail, but you got your miniature one, you got your camouflage one, you got your dirty carpet, and now you got a trash can in the background. One of the most hilarious things you want to look for, you can go on the internet and look for selling mirrors on eBay photos or whatever, and you're going to find people trying to sell mirrors. And how do you take a picture of a mirror? If you're standing in front of it, it's going to get you. Like this one here. This person tried to camouflage themselves, taking a picture of a mirror, a ghost. They put a sheet on it and they took the camera and they tried to take a picture of the mirror they're selling. And then this guy decided to take his laptop and bend over in the garage with all the mess to sell the mirror. Is he selling the laptop? Is he selling the vacuum cleaner or whatever, to the lawnmower? the garbage can, or the mirror. So there's a lot more of those out there, but picture, there's some out there where people don't have anything on, no shirt or pants and stuff like that, that I put those up. But you don't want to spend a lot of time on photos. I believe it's not a deal killer, but stuff like this can be. Dirty carpets, trash cans, and stuff like that. You gotta have a good presentation so you don't get all the questions and stuff like that. But cropping, taking backgrounds out and spending all that hours, 10 minutes on a photo. People know eBay is just regular sellers and stuff. So, what do you think about rulers and stuff in photos? How important it is? Just like scanning. Scan the front, scan the back. They can see front and back. Duplex scanner solves all the problems. A little border on the Epsons. I have those in the Ko-Fi store. All the settings for the Epson 400, Epson 580, and Epson 60. They work fine. I don't touch up photos. I don't re-enhance them because everybody's monitors are different. They just want basically the gist of it. That's the poll. Now we're going to get into viewer comments. These comments come from email. Sometimes I get them in eBay, which I don't want people to message me in eBay about stuff because I can't reply. eBay will spank me if I say off-site stuff. So always reply in YouTube or send me an email at contact@SMPostcards.com. But they come around. If you put them in YouTube, a comment, I consider that public because everybody can see it. If you send me an email, then it's pretty well more private. And if the conversation I'll ask you, hey, can I use this in a video? Is what I ask, and sometimes I'll take the name out and stuff like that. So, but I'm open either way. But Biff Buffalo came in one of the videos I talked about red letters on postcards. I don't have any in front of me. This is one right here. It has a red letter on postcard, but I think they're talking more about the divided back ones that kind of look like this, and they have the red lettering on the bottom. I'm not for sure. And I said, I don't know. I've heard it over time both ways. They're very well collected. They're hard to find. They get top dollar. Collectors really like them. And then I hear it doesn't mean anything. And I kind of tend to go where Biff's is talking here. In my experience, the red lettering on the white bordered cards is instantly meaningless. It's just a bunch of internet folklore. I love that term, Biff. Internet folklore. That's a new one. That doesn't prove out in real life. That said, Haynes is a nice keyword that might turn a $3 card into a $4 card. Yes. We were almost splitting hairs here. Yeah, it's back and forth, just like yellow writing, white writing on RPPCs, how it's done. I don't get into all that. That's not my thing to be an expert in all that. I just know what I'm told and what I heard and what I see. I haven't got any, no one's convinced me that red lettering on postcards is going to give me top dollar. If you go through life treating red letter cards as nothing special, you will not have missed out on any financial windfalls. Yeah, that's not one of the things I really key in on. And I'm with Biff here. What do you think? Have any of you guys got any material, anything that tells you about that? Anything official that says something about red lettering history? I just never come across anything that's convincing to me. Thanks, Biff. Then Sergeant Rock, looks like I might have to use social media a little bit more. Never knew about this faculty. Thanks, Mark. I did a video and I showed eBay's social thing where you can link Facebook, Instagram, or Pinterest and share out your listings to them and stuff like that in the video. And I'll put at the bottom what video that was. But Sergeant Rock, so that's what I try to do this. If I see something, someone's asking me a question, or I see something that's not used a lot maybe, I'll bring it up and say, this is what I do. Is it a game changer? No. Is it going to take you from 1 card to 20 cards a day? No. It's just another added thing. If you're looking to do something different and try something, that's what it is. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. It's not going to be all that. It's not going to, give you thousands and thousands of postcards sold. It's just another way to get awareness, and that's all I use it for. Thanks, Sergeant. Then Three-Wheeler. He said, thank you for a good video. The Albertite hand-colored postcards are higher quality, and collectors seek those out. Postcard sets, please advise, have a great week. Yeah, Albert type and all that stuff. If people get into that and want to put all that in there, go in my store, you're going to find some. Rotographs, Mutascope. Some collectors use a certain publisher, certain printer, different things like that. I'm not into all that. I understand it, but I would say you're targeting the 10% out of the 100 if you just go after Albert type, because a lot of people that buy cards are buying from nostalgic at the average cards that I do. They live there now, they were a kid, or they just are collecting that town. Those are the ones I do. The main collectors and stuff are on the higher end cards. An Albert type of a bridge in Boston, Massachusetts is probably not going to get that much more than another postcard of the same bridge in Massachusetts. There's just a lot of them out there. That's what I think. But then he asked, postcard sets, please advise. So I wrote back, do you have a question about postcard set? He said yes. People ask me if I break them up or sell them as lots. I've done it both ways. It just depends on the demand, and harder to find ones and stuff. I had the Goofy postcards one. I had 3 or 4 sets I got at an auction. I kept some in sets and I broke up the rest. You make more money when you break them up. If they sell, if they have a good sell-through rate. If you get a whole set of certain things, you're targeting maybe 1 or 2 collectors, or if you split them up, you're targeting the whole audience. It just depends what you got into them and what you want to do. Some collectors say, don't break them up, keep them together. Well, what if that one guy out there is trying to build a set? That's what collectors do. So you won't get top dollar for the whole set unless it's something special. There's a lot of variables in it. So I do it either way. What do you guys do? You break them up or you keep them as whole? Let 3-wheeler know. Thanks, 3. And then Super Neo. Great information as usual. I am just getting started, but I am seeing Continental's cards selling faster than the older linens. To put a finger on what's going to sell this month compared to last month in postcards, you got to do it over a long time. When I did it, when I first started taking the postcards and putting them online, I had a massive spreadsheet. I mean, this thing was a monster. I had all these different things I tracked for probably 6, I don't know how long I did it, just to see what's sold. Continental wasn't high. Linen wasn't high up there back then. Grand Canyon wasn't high. What was really high was divided back to chromes as a whole. Those were the highest ones I was selling. Now the undivided backs and real photos and stuff, because you don't have a lot of those, didn't hit it. So I figured that's a different model, and I wanted to go there. Continental, most of the time when people are looking for postcards, they don't want linens or Continentals, is what you'll see in the lots when people are listing them and they're asking for. And a lot of people don't like chromes, the collectors, but they're coming around on their own. Continentals are new. Or not new, but they're newer. And they've been in, the European ones had them more often, but you want to track it for a while, because you're going to sell out of all different things. I sell Continentals, I sell linens, I sell chrome, I sell divided back, I sell real photos, I sell them all. Everything will sell. You just gotta have the right price, right presentation, ship in 1 or 2 days, and make sure you back up everything you do. And you're gonna sell it, just like restaurants. A long time ago, a mentor of mine told me, I used to be in the restaurant business for years. I was a district manager, owned my own, so that was an industry I was in. He said, keep your lights on and your place clean. Those are the 2 basic things, is keep the lights on and keep it clean. And, people walk into a dirty restaurant, it's not going to be a good experience. Now, there's dirt, and then there's dirt. So if you're running 400 people an hour through your restaurant, you're not going to be able to keep the floors of all the little dust and stuff like that. But you can have people walking around little brooms and getting stuff up. But you're going to have just regular dirt, stuff like that. The dirt is the big pile of cobwebs in the corner, or you go to get that high chair for a kid and there's applesauce all over it and stuff crusted that's been there forever down in the side there from the last kid. One of the major chains that I worked at, I ran restaurants. One place I had probably 30 high chairs, those wooden ones, because we rotated them out. We knew we would use most of them during our big Sunday rush, And once they used them, they brought those to the back, and they were cleaned and sanitized, and then brought out front again. So we didn't just put the high chair to the side. We took it to the back and sanitized them and cleaned them. And we spent the money to make sure we had extra high chairs. And that's dirt if you don't do that. But regular stuff like that. Continentals, trying to pick out what sells. If you only pick out what you want to do, you're doing your own collection. But like he's thinking the right way. So you're thinking the right way through Super Nero, I think, is you're watching what's selling, not just how you feel. So you're saying Continentals are doing real good. Are you just putting up all Continentals, or have you put a good mixture up? So make sure you have a good sample. It's like that, but I think I know you're thinking the right way, is the way I understand it. Clocks on postcards, keyword stuffing of titles. That's what the whole really thing about clocks on postcards. Even though they are good, you want to call them out. It's a model. You can do it. I go after the main subject of the card more. I don't key stuff. I don't use all 80 characters most of the time in my titles. I don't put the dog. I don't put cat. They can see that in the photo. A picture's worth 1,000 words. And if you got clear photos and stuff like that, is what it is. Putting rulers and stuff in your photos. Let me know about it. What people think about that. I really don't care, because I wouldn't buy that card anyway. I want the ruler. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. I'm going to show you some more fish. Bye.